Happy signing day. Awesome. Super excited about the 19 young men and families that are joining us. The right people, the right talent, right for Virginia Tech. Very pleased and thankful for the staff, all the effort that's gone in to signing this group. I know a lot of people talk about all the work and the schedule and the calendar nowadays, and it's true. It's challenging. But Mike Villagrana and the recruiting staff, outstanding, the assistant coaches and the work they put in on the road and in the homes, in the high schools. So just a great effort from a lot of people. Support from the administration, support from Triumph, the Hokie Way, our Hokie faithful, our donors, our fan base. It takes everybody to make this thing go, and this is just another step in the right direction for Virginia Tech football. So big day. Take some questions, please.
Raise your hand when you I don't think you had any top 15 signees from Virginia last year. Had 4 this year. How do you feel like you've done making inroads in state in these last 2 years and actually having a full cycle to talk to some of these guys?
Yeah, I think it's good progress. You know, I'm super excited about the 5 Virginia kids we've signed. We're also bringing, Kamar in as an in-state guy, but certainly, good progress this year. But we're just 2 years in to the investment in this state. It's going to continue to pay off in the next cycle and the next cycle, as we develop these relationships as 8th and 9th graders, getting to know these families. It's going to be very important, and I think this is just scratching the surface.
I know the size of the class typically depends on how many seniors leave. Could this be a little bit of a new normal with the transfer portal, that you're going to leave slots available after each season to go in that direction as well?
Yeah, I think, it always depends on the attrition, what your roster, what's happening with your own roster. And we were fortunate enough to retain a bunch of guys that had opportunities. Several guys to the NFL, a couple guys transferring, guys that were maybe going to end their college career. So that, that affects your scholarship numbers. We had a small number of seniors to begin with. If you count Jesse Hansen, there's only 6 guys really that, their eligibility was up. Got some guys like Grant Wells and some others that, are moving on. But we've it's just a small number, which is a good problem to have. It means you're bringing the majority of your team back. We've got, 15 high school players, which is a small high school class, and then you've got 4 guys in the transfer portal. I mean, we had kind of put the brakes on the high school recruitment, a couple of weeks ago, with where we were with attrition and these guys, as they kept announcing they were going to return, the receivers, Tootin, Dorian, Mansour, APR, those are spots that would have gone on and made this class bigger, certainly. But thankful that those guys are returning, and it's a good class. I'm not sure if to answer your question, I don't know that it's the transfer portal as much as it was retention that kept our class small this year from a high school standpoint.
Brent, last year in that signing class, you were very intentional about areas of need addressing. You feel like this year with addressing offensive line depth, linebacker depth, that you started to hit the areas that you felt like you needed to address going into this offseason?
Yeah, I do. I mean, particularly in the transfer portal, taking a couple of D tackles, big area need, an offensive lineman, an inside linebacker. At the high school level, I think the biggest thing was securing some length on the offensive line, some size. We were able to do that. I think everywhere else, it's about getting that talent at whatever position that's right for us that can impact our offense or defense. I think we're able to do that.
You mentioned with a lot of the kids when you were talking to them about all these players that were coming in throughout the recruiting cycle of, the Nittany Cryans, those teams that were, vying for them. What about the relationships that you built with those players over the couple years that you've been here and how that helped make, once they committed, that they stay committed?
Yeah, I mean, it's challenging. I mean, there's really good programs out there that do a great job recruiting. And, and Coach Franklin and Penn State's one of them. They've done a nice job in the state of Virginia. And it takes a lot of work, a lot of investment to try and turn that tide. And, whether it's North Carolina, Penn State, South Carolina, I mean, everybody recognizes the talent that's in the state of Virginia. But it's still my belief that, we got to put ourselves in a position to keep the best players home. And it won't be all of them every year, but it needs to be enough of them that recognize doing it here at home at Virginia Tech is the best thing for them. So we're in those high schools each and every cycle multiple times, building relationships, gaining awareness of the young players in their programs and recruiting them to our campus. But, again, there's always going to be quality programs coming into the state of Virginia to recruit.
Coach, second year in a row, you've signed a player from both Highland Springs and DeMatha. Can you speak to the type of player you get when you go into a school like that?
Yeah, I think you recognize the quality traits, the championship caliber attributes from guys at both those programs. We got tremendous respect for Coach Johnson in Highland Springs. We know a ton about him, their players, what they're being coached and taught on and off the field, and the same with DeMatha. So I think when you see strong
Recording
programs,
in progress.
it always makes good sense. There's certain programs I tell the staff, I'd love to take a young man from that program every year. It's not always going to be possible, but you'd like to.
All right, let's go with Tim, and then we'll go back and then for Eric.
Brent, Aeneas Peoples, obviously a big transfer get for you guys. I know we had Louisville, Missouri, Penn State, a lot of Power 5 programs. What went into the process for you guys to be able to land him, and what are your expectations for what he can bring to this defense?
Yeah, again, when we go to the transfer portal, we're not just throwing darts at needs. Who makes sense from a relationship standpoint? Coach Jones had a very strong relationship with that family, and that's what kicked it off and got us in the conversation. And then from there, Coach Marv, Coach Price, all of us pouring into that for him to understand the opportunity he had and what the experience would look like. The family was on board, Aeneas was on board. It's one of those situations where, he can't make a mistake. We have to lay it all out for him that he feels like this is absolutely the best opportunity for him to get what he wants. So I'm excited about him in our structure, in our scheme, his explosiveness. He's good hands, good feet. He's an active inside player. And, it's already proven he can be productive in the ACC.
And then what went into the process with Sam Brumfeld and him being the guy you guys wanted to fill that kind of linebacker desire in the portal? Again,
previous relationships, we identified Sam's playmaking ability on film, but most importantly, just like with Jay Lane, the relationship we have with Coach Stockstill and the respect we have for him, how he runs his program, very similar in the expectations and standards of ours, in the culture of our locker room, the practice habits, all those things align. And so when Coach Stock endorsed, Sam, it meant a ton to me. And, the relationship that we have with him and we have with Jay Lane just fosters and makes everybody more comfortable about entering into a relationship with Sam. So, again, if they're not from Virginia or going to college in Virginia, in most situations, we're at least going to have a strong relationship with those that are coaching him at his current college.
Back in the room, Eric.
Coach, the recruits that you all go after and the transfers, when they see the upward trajectory that the program continues to take, how much does bowl momentum help into, the recruiting aspect and moving forward, trying to build and really stack on wins and a new tradition? Yeah,
that's really important. We've obviously had some big wins on some big stages, Thursday night football and, our rivalry game against UVA to get us bowl eligible. And I think there's been some really good plays in all three phases that are catching people's attention as well. Some things that our guys are doing on the field. So I think, it all helps. There's some momentum in our program right now, but we have to take the next step, and that's to beat a very good Tulane team that has 11 wins on the year.
Stay in the back. Either one come back to Andy, Dave.
Brent, you got some guys from Carolina, Dandy, Mason, and Reddish. Can you speak to what impact you hope that they have, and I guess overall your success in recruiting down there?
Yeah, I mean, that's part of our footprint. Some of those guys live closer than Virginia Beach kids. I mean, it's an easy get. There's a lot of familiarity. We're in those areas a lot for a lot of reasons as a university and athletic department. So there's a lot of, just comfort with kids in that area. And there's been some come up here and have good success. So, Coach Holt's from the area, has good relationships. Coach Jones recruited the area for a long time. So we're thankful. I mean, Mount Airy's a very good program. Coach does a fantastic job, back-to-back state championships, and teaching and mentoring these guys the same way we do here made a lot of sense. And then obviously Independence is a storied program and has tremendous success over the years. And Quentin was a guy that was well under the radar when we offered him and got him committed, and has since then really opened the eyes of a lot of folks out there in the recruiting world. So we're thankful that he's joining us. And as I mentioned, he's a guy that in another year or two you won't recognize him. He's got a great frame, great length. He's going to be looking down at Coach Prelo.
And with a successful signing day now in the books, how much are you looking forward to the next week, being with your team together in D.C. and Annapolis, and just kind of savoring this bowl game opportunity?
First thing is tonight, staff Christmas/signing day party. Looking forward to that. There's a lot of work from a lot of folks that go into this, so it deserves to be celebrated. Tomorrow, a day off. Most of us are having Christmas with our families, and then Friday we take off for D.C. And it's been good for our guys to get away for a couple days, but everybody's excited to reconvene, put the work in, and give ourselves the best chance to go get a win.
Let's go, Andy, and then David.
You and your staff seem pretty excited to tell Kamari Copeland's path to Virginia Tech. What was that path, and what did you see at him community college that kind of caught your eye?
Again, it's one of these guys that it was his dream to play at Virginia Tech, and it didn't work out the first time, and he just kept working at it. It didn't work out the second time. He leaves Army West Point, has to go all the way out to Iowa to school, to keep the opportunity alive, to keep his dream alive. It's a young man from Virginia Beach that
Recording stopped.
thought an awful lot of us, of this place. He's got a video his mom shared with me in my office on Sunday of him in 9th grade, and he's talking about how determined he is to play major college football, that it's his dream. He's videoing himself, and he said, I'm telling myself, this is my dream. I'm going to make this happen through hard work, through effort, commitment, all these things. I want to do it for my mom. I want to do it for my dad, my family. This is a 9th grader, kind of a message to himself about what he wants for himself, and he's done it. I went out to Iowa to see him, and it was the only head coach to do that. And, it's different. It's challenging. A guy from Virginia Beach out in Iowa, going to college, trying to keep his dream alive. And he's just got a ton of maturity, great awareness. And, so he's one of those guys when he sits on my couch, you just absolutely know he's going to reach all of his potential and then some. He's just wired that way.
You look at some of the stats with Keelan Adams. What stands out from him as a player? Just what kind of dynamic play can he bring to the field?
Yeah, the thing to me, he's long, but yet he's still slippery. He can get skinny and make people miss, but he's got great length. He's got really good ball skills. Game comes easy to him. He doesn't get rattled. He doesn't get nervous. He's got a calm demeanor out there. And obviously just the amount of plays and production that he has at the high school level, it's hard to find that. And he was doing it in a competitive league. So, I think he's a guy that has a chance to help us early.
Had you been holding on to that Nittany Cryans line for a while?
That actually was coined through my wife. We'd lost a tough game to Ohio State, and somehow ESPN panned in on her. And she was sad. We'd lost right at the end, and they penned it, Nittany Crying. So I still have that saved in my phone, show her once in a while. But y'all know I respect Coach and the work he's done. And a lot of what we do from a recruiting philosophy, I learned from James.
Gabe Williams, first guy you guys announced today. What was that like? And he was somebody that was so vocal on social media through the good times, the bad times. When a player is like that, he's never officially enrolled, but he's that committed. What does that kind of say about him, and how important was that? Yeah,
you need that. There's going to be guys in every class that leave that door open just enough that it can get squarely on them. And so you need some footholds. They're going to keep them together and keep them focused and keep them believing. And Gabe has certainly done that. Not only is he really, really talented, tremendous potential with his length and speed and athleticism, his intelligence, but been a very committed Hokie and strong voice in that class.
At the defensive line, what stood out to me when you were talking to Derek is you said, when we got here, we originally struggled, and we've gotten better, and you're going to take us up that notch. You guys added 4 guys up front in terms of high school kids. That's not even counting Kamari and obviously Aeneas. What about what Coach Price and you guys have been able to do in that room? What do you like about the outlook there, bringing APR back? What do you like about these specific high school kids?
Yeah, honestly, I think when you look at Handchuck, this is a big, strong motor guy. They're hard to deal with. He's got tremendous size. He's going to be a 6'4", 300-pound D tackle that can run and plays hard, like a big old St. Bernard. He just keeps he's tough, and he's a great kid. And then, Emmett is all disruption. His minus yardage plays as a young guy into high school level. It didn't matter, run game, throw game, or who it was against. In a very good league and a very tough schedule, Emmett was productive, all the time. And he's got an incredible story with his determination. I think Gerard Johnson has an unbelievable frame, very athletic, played tight end as well this year. His potential as an end, as a D tackle, I'm not sure yet. He's 250 pounds right now. He's 6'4". He's going to be a great-looking D lineman one day. Derek Dandy, a natural pass rusher, great bend, great lean, can get low, good feet, can turn, pretty raw still, but has length. I'm excited about him. Then obviously Kamari and Aeneas, both explosive guys at the tackle position. With the group of ends that we have coming back, these guys can run. They're getting better all the time. It's not just APR. I thought that the end of the season for Cole Nelson was really impressive, the way he came on. But, McDonald and McCray and Burgos, these guys can run. They got motors. They got length. So you couple them, with Fuga and Panay and these guys, Aeneas and Kamari. I mean, you got a chance to be a pretty disruptive front.
Last one, Damien, and then we'll take a couple on Zoom.
Your first commit for this class was Davy Belfort, quarterback.
I got to correct you right there. Davy was the first public commit. The first commit was Derek Dandy, and Davy was right on his heels.
But specifically about Davy, what do you like about him as a quarterback and continuing to get a quarterback in each class?
Yeah, I mean, his intangibles are off the chart. I'm not sure I've been around a guy that has the makeup as a high school senior that he does. It's a credit to his parents, his coaches, maturity. He gets it. He's going to live the life of a college quarterback as a freshman. And he's going to come in right away and compete with Dylan and Pop and those guys. He's a competitor. He's got a high football IQ. He's athletic. I heard Coach Bowen say he's triple threat. He can read it, he can run it, he can throw it. So super excited about Davy.
Let's go to Zoom for a couple.
We'll start with David Teal.
Brent, last season, Peebles had arguably his best game of the year against you guys. I believe he had 4 or 5 tackles. Was he someone you noticed that day?
Yeah, we did notice him. He's just been an active guy up front. They did a nice job defensively, and, so he had a chance to showcase his skills. I think that lends to our scheme, our structure, what we do. We're a big movement team with our tackles, and he can certainly move well. So we've certainly, understood who he was, the type of player he was, and through Derek Jones, the type of person he was. So, obviously excited about Aeneas.
One of the first orders of business when a new staff comes in often is roster management in terms of position balance, class balance. Where are you with that? Do you like where you are, or are there still some things a little out of balance?
We're in a much better place than we were 2 years ago. Numbers at close to or right at where we want them to be, across the board. Despite signing all those DBs last year, we're still a little short there between the corner and DB and safety position. Just with how much you use those guys on special teams, I've got a high number allotted there of scholarships, and we're just keep falling short of that. But I like the group we got. But that's roster management's crazy right now. The portal closes on the 4th. Opens back up again at the end of April. So you really don't know who, in fact, what your roster truly looks like until the 1st of May.
Colby.
Coach, how big was the proof of concept with APR coming and sort of recruiting Kamari, showing that although his journey wasn't quite as long as Kamari, that you can come to Blacksburg and have success as another destination?
I think it's a good question, but it's not just APR, and that was important for Kamari, for Aeneas, but, all those guys, Quan Felton and Jay Lane and Kyron and Tootin Canteen, all these guys that transferred in and had success on the field, that's a great example for folks that, hey, we understand how to do it. We understand how to matriculate you into the locker room and into the offense and defensive schemes.
Tim Sullivan.
Yeah, Brent, most of your class, and in fact, everybody other than Kamari that ended up signing was committed over the summer. How do you kind of view the way that you want to manage recruiting? Is it a distinct part of the year? Is it just kind of the way it happened this year that it got wrapped up as early as it did? And what is kind of your goal going forward as, like you just mentioned, the roster kind of is a little bit more balanced to how you would like it to be?
Yeah, I think honestly, we had to slow it way down. The guys kept recruiting like crazy, but we got to a point where when I started feeling like there wasn't going to be the attrition that maybe would be expected, we had to slow down. We're already, to be honest, over right now. And, we had a bunch of guys, some additional players in the state of Virginia, some guys in the footprint, and some guys in the transfer portal that want to be here. And we just don't have the space right now.
And then you mentioned a couple guys that could maybe subtly shift positions. Gerard Johnson moving inside, for example. Are there guys in this class that you see as versatile enough to do something as extreme as maybe flipping to a different side of the ball than you announced them as playing today? Absolutely.
Yeah, we want to recruit as many guys as we can that we project to both sides or to multiple positions. That's in their benefit, that's in our benefit. So that's always on our mind in the recruiting process. I like guys to get here and play the position they want to play, where their passion is. Let's do that first, and we'll figure it out from there.
Any more from Zoom? That's all here. Thank you.
All right, last one in the room, Tim.
Brent, you mentioned obviously that there's some number crunching that will still need to be done, but is there any other transfer portal needs that you're going to look to fill through the portal at this point, or Or are you guys kind of in a hole? I know you guys added Jalen Lane, APR, some guys passed early signing day last year.
Yeah, I'm not going to say never. I mean, obviously things can change. I mean, right now we're in a little bit of a holding pattern. We do have 2 additional players that we've had on campus that, you know, we'd love to see join the program. We're working through some things with both those guys. You know, right now, you know, it has to make an awful lot of sense to take somebody else on with the situation as it stands today.
All right, last one real quick, Andy.
With Montavious Cunningham, looks like he was right tackle for most of last year. How do you figure him fitting into the offensive line mix?
Yeah, he's a swing guy. That's a good question. I'm not sure if he's going to be a tackle or a guard here. You know, we've got some things to talk about with that room. I think he elevates the room. You know, I was very pleased with the progress our line made down the stretch. But obviously, it's always a goal to be more competitive at each and every position in each and every room. And I think he does that for us. And, you know, we're pleased with the progress and development, but we got to ensure, you know, I tell the guys all the time, again, it's my job to make build the most competitive roster in the country. And Montavious helps us do that in that room.
Thank you, Coach.
Okay, thanks, everybody.